Welcome to this week's episode of All Elite Radio. Of course, I am Shawn with my tag team partner, Ashlee, as we catch you up on the week of All Elite Wrestling. Ashlee, we're heading to 69 Ohio and Maximum Carnage, and we have a surprise winner of the Casino Gauntlet match. And the person that's going to face Jon Moxley may not be the person you thought it was going to be when you saw that match on Dynamite.
Yeah, no, a very stacked match, and genuinely was very surprised. Not in a bad way at all. It's nice to see Hobbs kind of come back and be able to sort of avenge the last match he had with Moxley last year when he challenged for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
Very true. But let's start with our AEW Dynamite recap here on All Elite Radio. The very first match on Dynamite was Will freaking Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews in a freaking banger, was ended with the hidden blade hit by one Will Ospreay. And after the match, he had a little pep talk to Buddy Matthews saying that he doesn't need a leader. He could go for singles gold if he wanted to. And if he needs a little help, Will Ospreay's his guy.
Yeah, we've seen the House of Black get a few interesting pep talks this week. I'd love to see Buddy sort of break out as more of a singles competitor. He felt a little neutered in the House of Black, I would say. We didn't get to see him cut any promos, really. We didn't get to see him do many matches. I would love to see him kind of have more of a breakout role. And if we want to build him towards something here with Grand Slam Australia around the corner, I'd love to see that.
Very true. And I got a feeling that maybe Will Ospreay's trying to lure him in or try to recruit him to be a new member of the United Kingdom as we head to AEW Grand Slam Australia.
Yeah, a United Empire reunion could be exactly what Will Ospreay is trying to head for, and I'd like to see like Mark Davis get back involved in here too.
So from there, we went to a on-stage promo segment by our AEW Tag Team Champions. It's Private Party. They're coming out. They want to party for their celebration of being a victorious AEW champions, having their first successful title defense on the previous Collision, until the Hurt Business or the Hurt Syndicate came out and ran on their parade. So I got a feeling, Ashlee, that they're holding the titles until the Hurt Business wants them.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to argue with it, you know. Sheldon and Lashley have looked great since coming in. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to next week's trios match with the Hurt Syndicate and Private Party and Briscoe. But I do fear for our Private Party boys. I feel like they could be in some trouble.
Yeah, I got a feeling that this might not be the longest first time reign for the Champions Private Party. And this little segment with the Hurt Syndicate and Private Party led us to our next match, where it was Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe in a match where it started out feeling like it was going to be a squash match for one Bobby Lashley, as he was going to basically massacre Mark Briscoe, but Mark Briscoe fought from underneath, had a valiant fight, but he succumbed to the Hurt Lock because everybody succumbs to the Hurt Lock.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley is a very scary man. That is not a maneuver you want to get put into. I think I'd like to see him do remember Preston Vance used to do and used to shake them around when he would get in there. I think Bobby Lashley would look so scary. Adding that to it.
Oh, I can imagine Bobby Lashley being able to shake a lot of people like a ragdoll, and yeah, that would be kind of scary. So we move on to the actual Casino Gauntlet match, and when I saw who was listed as the people in the match, Will Hobbs being the winner of this match was not one I was thinking of. I'm only going oh, Hobbs is in this match. They're going to give him a little bit of a showing, but he pinned Kyle O'Reilly. I'm going, Kyle ate the pin, but I'm kind of happy because it's Powerhouse Hobbs getting the pin.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see somebody kind of get a breakout win. This was a stacked matchup. This is what exactly every single one of these matches should be.
You had Wheeler Yuta, you had Jeff Jarrett, you had Adam Cole, baby, you had Roderick Strong, you had Lance Archer.
So many people, and like all of the like I would have said a good 5 to 7 of them, like Adam Cole, like everybody like that. Like I was like, man, maybe they could win. And honestly, seeing Will Hobbs, like I said, genuinely surprised me. But I'm happy, and I'm glad to see him kind of continue this push he had pre-injury.
Well, after this Casino Gauntlet match, we had Jeff Jarrett in the ring. He was going to cut a promo, and he gets interrupted by everybody's favorite scumbag, MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, and it's a B11. MJF, he has a offer to give Jeff Jarrett double J, J-A, double R-E, double T, as he goes through every version of Jeff Jarrett's promo and sticks. But I got to say, he hit them all, and it was great. I like this promo from MJF. But MJF is like, look, there's so many people in this main event scene. I don't want to do the work. I want to help you become AEW World Champion, and the only thing I want is the first match.
Yeah, honestly, I love this pairing. I want to see. I'm very interested to see what they do here. And you remember like my whole arc here with Jeff Jarrett. I went from from almost being upset he was there to all right, now I'm here. He's here. Let's enjoy it. And now I'm like, let's go. Let's put a championship on Jeff Jarrett in 2025. Let's do it.
Well, Jeff turns down MJF and basically calls MJF a one-hit wonder, which I kind of laughed at because they were going for Nashville, so it made sense to use the Music City reference of, yeah, you were the longest reigning AEW World Champion one time.
And then the crowd also chanting one hit wonder.
So I got a feeling that we're heading to AEW Revolution, and it's going to be MJF versus Jeff Jarrett in some kind of match with a stipulation. So we'll move on to the next event that happened on Dynamite, as we had Adam Copeland. We went back-to-back promo segments here on Dynamite, and basically this was Adam Cope's "Be As Scared of Me" speech to Jon Moxley, and of course the Death Riders show up and they beat him down.
Yeah, not unexpected here.
Well,
I'm very happy Cope is back. I'm a little confused as to why he's almost immediately in 2 title pictures.
I know it's interesting to see how they're doing this return of Cope. Now, what was good about this is the person that made the save for Cope was Powerhouse Hobbs, and Powerhouse Hobbs steps into the ring, and Jon Moxley looks at the Death Riders, go like, not today. We're going to take our powder here. So it put Powerhouse Hobbs over strong here, as it was one baby face with no weapon, making a group leave the ring. So I was like, cool. We're pushing Powerhouse Hobbs. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. Smart move though, because I think any rational person saw Powerhouse Hobbs running at them with a weapon would think to hightail it.
So we move on to the women's #1 slot match, where the winner gets the first position in next week's women's Casino Gauntlet match. And Chris Statlander pins the rookie Toni Storm. So Toni Storm is not undefeated anymore in 2025. We'll have to see how the rookie handles her first defeat.
She seemed to take it a little rough a little after, but
but I do like the fact that Chris Statlander is the person who's going to come out first in this match. And just like the men's match, we don't know how many challengers there is for this match. And I'm so excited because this women's division is freaking loaded.
Yeah, and honestly, I loved this match. I thought it was so good. We rarely kind of get to see the women in any sort of like a match like this with the triple threat, so it was exciting to see, and I'm excited to see what this Casino Gauntlet match for the women has in store.
And I feel like if you didn't have Toni lose this match here, I feel like a lot of people will go like, oh, they're heading to Australia. So, of course, we're going to have Toni Storm versus Mariah May in Australia at Grand Slam in Australia. So maybe this throws us off the track for a minute, and maybe Toni gets into the gauntlet and she runs it, and she actually defeats Chris Statlander to go forward to the title with Mariah May. Who knows?
Oh yeah, no, I believe me, I am here for the moment Toni Storm remembers who she is.
And that time is coming very soon, I do believe.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're to our main event of the evening, and it's the return of Kenny by God Omega as he cuts a promo segment, and he gets interrupted by Don Callis. And I gotta say, Kenny Omega ran towards Don Callis like he owed him like $1 million.
I'm saying he's not about revenge anymore. He's beyond that. He sees Don Callis and understandably and justifiably immediately forgets that he said that and runs out of the ring to whoop Don Callis's ass. I loved that.
I did too. I just like, yeah, that's the one exception to this rule is Don Callis. Yes, exactly.
Did you see the girl in the crowd dressed up like Don Callis?
I need to go back to Dynamite and see that. I missed it while I was watching this. Now, we do get the Don Callis family come down to beat up Kenny Omega, and it's surprising who makes this savior. It's Will Ospreay, a person who has a long story history with Kenny Omega. And it's not like, hey, we're best buds. This is like one of Kenny Omega's arch rivals, and they're staying in the ring at the end of the night looking at each other going like, are we going to fight?
But we can all agree.
Forces?
But we can all agree, F Don Callis. Hating Don Callis brings us all together.
Exactly. The only way to world peace is through the hatred of Don Callis. So that was your AEW Dynamite recap here on All Elite Radio. I got to say, if you did not see the Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews match, you need to go out your way to watch that again. It's a great freaking match. So we're heading over to our AEW Newswire. And my first story for you, Ashlee, is per Fightful, Darby Allin has been written off AEW TV so he can go for his second attempt to climb Mount Everest. Now, if you remember last year, he got injured, broke his ankle, and was not able to make this trip. So we're going to wish him all the best as he attempts to climb the tallest mountain in the world.
Yeah, very scary. Not going to stop Darby, obviously. It does. I do hate that it felt like they were building towards him being the one to take the title off Moxley. But I mean, Darby Allin isn't going to have this whole entire life to try to climb Mount Everest, which is just the most insane reason to miss like a chunk of your career. like not in a bad way, just like holy crap, like what a crazy thing to be doing.
Very true. And I agree with you. I felt like coming out of 2024, Darby was being positioned as like the leader of the AEW originals, and he was going to be the person to defeat the Death Riders and Jon Moxley. Now it seems like maybe Powerhouse Hobbs is sliding into this position for the moment as Darby's away.
Yeah, I'm hoping Jon Moxley starts bringing the title out on TV. I kind of miss seeing it.
Well, he said he would sink that sucker to the bottom of the ocean in order for nobody to be able to grab it. So I doubt we're going to see it until somebody actually wins it off of him.
It's much like the Cobbs. I don't like his chances.
I'm just hoping they protect Powerhouse Hobbs next week in this title match, and they do a lot of interference, and that way you should wrap your way back around to a second title match with Powerhouse Hobbs down the road, and we get a Powerhouse Hobbs AEW World Title run.
Yeah, I think they could definitely build him to it.
I think they could too. I mean, he cut one hell of a promo on Collision that we'll get to later in the show. On to my second news story. This comes out of the fallout from AEW Dynasty, as Dave Meltzer is reporting that Chris Carlton is on a definite suspension or hiatus from New Japan Pro Wrestling due to his anti-AEW comments during AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Dynasty.
This was so weird. I love Chris Charlton and I love his commentary. And all weekend with the shows and on all the combined talents and everything, there was not a moment he was that angry until that Kenny Omega Gabe Kidd match. And it was insane. Like, so much so that I just assumed we were building towards something.
Honestly, I watched the Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega match. I heard the comment that Chris Carlton said. He basically called Tony Khan a money mark and basically
But
stole
like David Finlay has made that comment, Gabe Kidd has made that comment. Like, it felt like truly like we were building toward maybe some sort of, former New Japan, now AEW talents versus the new spirit of New Japan. And I could definitely see that. But I guess not. Like, I guess Chris Charlton was just really angry, but like, it was so crazy. Like I said, like he did commentary all throughout the weekend for both shows, Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, and it only seemed to really kind of come out in that match. Like there were so many other matches where it just seemed to call it down the middle, and I don't know. Like I said, it felt very much to me like they were building towards something. So it's very weird to just see he was just very angry for some reason.
Yeah, because honestly, I was watching that match. I felt like he was just being a heel color commentary to the straight guy, and I'm going like, okay, fine. He's being pro New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah, he's been there since AEW came on the scene, and AEW has taken a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling talent. So I didn't think anything of it until I saw the news story after this said event.
Yeah, and honestly, even in the past, like even on just regular New Japan shows, like Chris Charlton is kind of teetered on like with commentary that's made me go, oh, that was kind of like a little bit of a heelish kind of thing to say. So like it didn't like all that much surprise me when like Gabe Kidd, whose whole like his whole thing is like being proud of being in New Japan and loving it there, and him kind of calling out Kenny Omega for leaving and stuff like that. It felt like something that was natural to what they were doing in the ring, and to see that it was just him being like upset is kind of just it sucks all around because like he is a good commentator and now we don't get him on commentary, and now I feel like, does this hurt anything between AEW and New Japan? Like seemingly not. They seem to have just suspended Chris Charlton and they seem upset with it, and I'm just hoping it doesn't affect things. Like that's what I'm most concerned about. Is I don't want it to, because like I said, I love Chris Charlton and his commentary. I don't want to lose him either.
I'm just hoping they can make this water underneath the bridge and they can keep the relationship going. And I just feel like maybe it was just maybe Tony got annoyed about hearing the comment and he just went, "Hey, New Japan Pro Wrestling, can we do something about the guy for a little bit? This is make everything feel right." And I feel like this is a make right by New Japan Pro Wrestling for the comment.
Yeah, definitely could be. Like you said, hopefully water under the bridge soon for everybody.
Julia Hart made a appearance on Denise Sasayo's podcast where Denise asked Julia about, do you remember Malachi Black maybe leaving AEW? And Julia Hart basically said that she really looks up to Malachi Black. He's a great guy, helped her out a lot. And she's saying basically what everyone would say is like his decision is his own business, and she wishes him the best. But like everybody's been saying about Malachi Black, everything's rumors until we see Malachi come out somewhere and say, "Hey, I'm leaving," or we see him appear on another promotion.
Julia is very, very right. Like that is Malachi Black's decision to let everybody know what he's doing, where he's going to be, because it doesn't feel like anybody is on bad terms if he is leaving. House of Black has had like some prominent moments lately, so it doesn't feel like there's anything like malicious or like any hard feelings. Like Malachi Black's had some good showings. It does suck though, because it does kind of feel like a wasted thing. And I feel like there's some fault that to go around, at least on this one.
I mean, if he does leave AEW, it's going to be one of the big what if AEW departures, because this dude should have been a AEW world champion at some point. It's just a lot of things happen, and we don't know any of the facts behind the events.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of mixture of everything. I feel like there was some bad booking. I feel like there was some weird creative. And I also feel like there was like a kind of a waste of his talents when he was healthy, because we do know he had at one point an injury. So
Yes, we'll just have to wait and see. On to my last news story for you guys. As it's been announced that the Von Erich brothers are all elite, as 2/3 of your ROH World Trios champions, along with Dustin Rhodes, have signed with the company.
yeah, this is not really unexpected. You know, them being the champions there with Dustin. I did read one of them was injured a few weeks ago, or a little bit back. So I'm hoping to see them be able to make a return soon.
I am as well. I'm happy that the guys are with All Elite Wrestling. They are going to add depth to the tag team division, and they're a young tag team on the rise, and you can make them a babyface tag team in a very heel dominated AEW tag team scene.
Yeah, for sure. There is a lot of heel tag teams right now.
And before we go from the newswire, let's go ahead and do this for everybody. If you haven't been paying attention to the news lately, there has been some very massive devastating fires in the LA city area. And if you want to donate, I have two links for you. The first one is the LAFD, it's the Los Angeles Fire Department Relief Fund. That will go help buy equipment and stuff for the fire department. And the second one I have for you guys is the LA Food Bank, and that's going to be at www.lafoodbank.org. The other link was www.supportlafd.org. If you're able to help both organizations, as they are battling day after day to save large sections of Los Angeles, thousands of people have lost their homes. This is a great time for everybody to rally around the city of Los Angeles and do what we can to help them. And we want to send thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by the wildfires.
Yeah, and any little bit can help.
And on no easy way to segue here, so we're going over to our AEW Collision wrap up. And Ashlee, I gotta say, we started off with a very interesting match on Collision last night, as we had the Redwood Big Bill versus Cope. And this match kind of got started slow, and I was going like, I thought this match could have been better, and I was going like, these guys should have chemistry. But by the end of the match, it was fine. It was a good opener for the show, and the crowd loved it.
Yeah, the crowd really loves Big Bill.
I'm just waiting for the Big Bill face turn, and he finally tells Jericho where to go, and he chokeslams Chris Jericho, and maybe that's how you get the ROH World Title off of Chris Jericho.
Sure. As long as we see Jericho get chokeslammed in the process, I'm okay with it.
Okay, after that, we had a great Heyman Adam Page promo setting up his match on next week's Collision, as he's going to face off against Christopher Daniels. And it's basically Heyman Adam Page explaining his heel character, where to him, he feels like he's the one person in the world that it's justified, because he spent a year and a half not being the Heyman Adam Page that he wanted. Now he's willing to defeat everybody on the planet in order to not be that same Heyman Adam Page from a year ago.
Not me, the most the most prominent Hangman defender. um, yeah, no, I enjoyed both of the interludes for this. it's nice to see this. First of all, this promo was great. Like, he's so good at this. I'm excited. Like, it's crazy it feels almost crazy to say you're super excited to see like a Christopher Daniels match because we haven't seen him, I mean, prominently since what, 2020 really in the ring. But I'm very much looking forward to this.
Okay, so we move back into the ring. Our second match on Collision is Pat versus Commander. And I gotta say, this was a excellent match. And Pat wins with his Brutalizer submission, but dude, Commander looked like $1,000,000. And if anybody from AEW is listening, we need to run this match back again, please.
Yeah, honestly, Commander has been killing it lately. It's nice to see him get that title. Um, but man, Pac is so good. Love Pac.
So from there, we go to our AEW women's match of the evening as Mariah May battles Hardy Cameron. And I got to say, the fans were behind Hardy Cameron solidly. And for a moment there, I thought maybe you should flip the decision here. And I know it's non-title, so you could flip the decision here and let Harley have the win. But Mariah May wins as a Storm Zero. But this was probably Hardy Cameron's best match.
Yeah, honestly, push her to the moon. I love her. She's so funny. And to think she's so new to professional wrestling, like she's still very new to everything in the ring, is crazy. Like, her development is good and she's very naturally talented.
You know how we were hating on her when she was part of the TMZ ripoff had
QTV.
QTV, and we're like going, please, we don't want to see any of these people. And now we're like, okay, Hardy Cameron, yes, please, thank you, yes.
Yeah, she's definitely found her groove as of late. She's funny, she's charismatic, and kind of seeing her continuously get better in the ring every time she's been out there. I think that's the kind of stuff like AEW fans like really latch on to is kind of seeing that effort kind of like paying off for these young people who are putting in all of this work.
Exactly. I feel like AEW is a company where they should push newer talent and the talent that the fans get around, because it's like Julia Hart. We all kind of saw Julia start off as a cheerleader, build up to who she is now. We've been on the journey, and we can be on this journey with Hardy Cameron as well.
AEW fans, sometimes they have an eye for talent.
Okay, so we're on to our squash match of the evening as Brody King gets a local talent, Trevor Blackwell, and boy, Trevor Blackwell may have drawn the short straw here because he had to wrestle Brody freaking King.
Yeah, everybody talking about how Trevor Blackwell, I believe his name was, looked like Jungle Boy. Well, Jack Perry, but more precisely when he was Jungle Boy. And agreed, he very much did.
Well, Brody King may quit work with this.
Very
Brody,
quick.
he doesn't get paid by the hour. He just gets paid by the
Not at
victory.
all.
Now, what was interesting was after this, as backstage, we saw Julia Hart and Brody King have an interview segment, and it got interrupted by Cope. And yet again, Cope does a pep talk saying, hey, Brody, we've been to war, we've battled each other. And at one time, I wanted to be a part of the House of Black, but I feel like you should be running the joint. Paraphrasing here for Cope. But yet again, another pep talk with the House of Black was a major player.
Yeah, and I think that's something that even both you and I said, that Brody was more of the breakout, and it felt like more of a natural position for him to be kind of like the top guy in the House of Black, because he, even tonight, he had that squash match. That crowd was going insane for him, doing the bark, yelling for him. And I just, he's so good. And I feel like you don't always get this connection with the crowd, with these fans and stuff like that. Like you said, even with like Harley Cameron, and sometimes you got to like rally around that and push that.
I gotta say, I want to see the House of Black with Brody King as the leader. I think that would be interesting. And if you know what, we do need mixed tag team titles here for a little bit, so we can have Julia Hart and Brody King have matches.
Honestly, yeah, I love that.
Okay, so we're going to probably the best match of the evening next, as Daniel Garcia versus Shibata. Now, Tony Shibata goes out of his way to mention how Garcia had a very hard time to get into Athens, Georgia, due to the fact that the Southeast had a major snowstorm Friday into Saturday. And Tony was talking about Garcia taking a 2-hour lift to the arena and changing the back of the lift.
And for anybody who's ever had to be in a lift, you can know how awful, first of all, a 2-hour ride would be in a lift, let alone having to get changed in one.
So this match opened up with Garcia deciding, I want to out chop Shibata. And I was watching this going like, Daniel, my friend, I would not choose this course of action. Please abort.
Yeah, not the smartest move for sure.
This match had a lot of counters to it. We saw a moment where we saw Garcia go for a ankle lock and Shibata flipped it around to his own ankle lock, then went into a arm bar. I'm going like, dude, these guys are just going like a million miles an hour. Shibata hit one of the nastiest looking hesitation drop kicks in this match. And I was like, dude.
First of all, Daniel Garcia as a champion is one of my favorite decisions we've made over the past few months. I'm very excited for this, but I just I can't express enough how much I love that we get to watch Shibata wrestle again. It's so great, and I still have so many matches I want to see him do. I'm very happy. Getting to see him wrestle in New Japan again this last weekend was crazy, and I'm very happy. He just seems very happy here, and that makes me so happy that he's having a great time, and on top of it, we get to watch him.
So this match ends basically with Garcia winning via jackknife pin. So it protects Shibata. Both gentlemen show respect after the match. And if anybody's listening at AEW, can we run this match back again, please?
Yeah, definitely. It's nice that their chemistry has only gotten better since their matches for the ROH Pure Championship.
I know it's crazy and saying it, but so true. Now we're on to the main event, and it's a Chris Jericho main event match. I know Tony Schiavone said, hey, the seconds are banned from the ring, but that's Hardwood did all he could to make this match interesting. It was fine. The crowd was happy.
He did take a knee to the face, though, with that lion salt. So a little concerning there. I thought he might have caught his nose or something.
Well, we get towards the end of the match, and Jericho introduces the Ring of Honor World Championship as a weapon to the match. And it seemed to be kind of clunky how they got to finally seeing Jericho use the belt to whack Dax. And I was thinking, okay, this is the finish. And Dax kicks out. The main finish of this match comes where Jericho hits the Judas Effect 1, 2, 3. And of course, everybody comes down to the ring, beats up on Dax. Here comes Cope and Cash down. Then the next thing you know, the Death Runners come down. We have everybody fighting each other, and the Outrunners come down.
Outrunners.
So we have the baby faces standing tall in a collision, thank God.
Yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs coming down.
Yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs coming down. We saw Moxley hit a paradigm shift on Cope. So we have a lot of stories being pushed here at the end of Collision, heading back to Cincinnati for a 2-night stand where you have Dynamite on Wednesday night, followed by Collision on Thursday night. So
it'll be interesting to see where they drop Moxley versus Copeland, because I don't see them maintaining this all the way to Revolution.
You know, I was thinking when they first announced this was going to be like the Revolution main event. And like you said, I don't think they're going to carry that far. So I think we'll know more next week after we saw Collision and Dynamite. And is this how they played this match between Moxley and Powerhouse Hobbs? Do we see Cope come down to make the save for Hobbs? Maybe, who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Like I said, I love Hobbs, but I don't have a good feeling for for Hobbs. I feel like there's gonna be some Death Rider shenanigans.
Oh, there's going to be so much Death Rider shenanigans. I already penciled that in, okay? That's the safest bet in this match, okay? I would not personally put any summer money.
DraftKings.com.
Exactly. If you went to DraftKings.com, it'd be like maybe minus 8,000 for Death Rider intervention.
It's like a House of Torture match, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a House of Torture match. So overall, Ashlee, coming out of Collision, how do you feel about this week in AEW TV?
I feel like we got a lot of good stuff coming out of this week. A lot of momentum move forward. Like I said, I feel like we still have some kind of maybe some wonky things around the championship, like especially with Copeland being in both title pictures, but it's not something I don't feel like they won't clean up. I'm hoping that we can get through the Jericho program quickly for everyone's sake, but a lot of good stuff. I'm hoping to see Brody King and maybe Buddy Matthews get a push coming out of this.
You know, those AEW tag team titles are just sitting in a private party, and we're thinking maybe it's going to be the Hurt Syndicate takes them off of it. It might be this Brody King and Buddy Matthews that will be eventually the tag team champions later in 2025.
Could be, and I would be fine with that. I need to see Brody. I need to see Brody with a championship this year.
Very true. He deserves a title. So this has been your All Elite Radio for January the 13th, 2025. Ashlee, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
I'm mostly posting on Blue Sky, and that's just at groovyash.bsky.social.
And of course, you can follow this show on X or Twitter at All Elite Radio. And until we see you next time, top podcasters out.